Hey guys, in this video I'm gonna show you how to create a nice looking contact model using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So as you can see, I have this button right here, and when you click it, the model slides up. As you can see, it's really nice. And we have this X button, and when we click it, it's gonna close. We do that with JavaScript, and it'll also close when you click on the surface outside of the model box, as you can see. But if we click inside the model, it will not gonna close. It will not close, which is what we want. So if you're excited to learn how to do that, go ahead and hit that like button, and don't forget, at 100 subscribers I'm gonna come up with an HTML and CSS crash course, and in the future I'm also gonna do a JavaScript course. And if you are new here, on this channel I post new videos every single day that will help you become a better web developer, and that will allow you to earn more money and live a better life. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon so that you won't miss any of the new videos that I upload. With that being said, let's go straight to the coding. So I have an empty folder here on my desktop called Modal, and I opened it with my text editor, which in my case I'm using brackets. I'm going to create the index.html file, the style.css, okay, and the main.js file. And I'm also gonna create an img folder for the image. By the way, I'm gonna put a link in the pinned comment to the image, so I recommend that you grab that and code along with me, because that is the best way to learn. Alright, now we're gonna start out with the markup. I'm gonna go to the index.html, give it a title of modal. Okay, and I'm gonna link the CSS file, so style.css, and before the closing tag of the body, I'm also gonna put my main.js file, so src main.js. Alright, now we're gonna start with the button. I'm gonna give it an ID of contact modal, and actually I'm gonna give it an ID of modal-open, sorry. And I'm gonna say contact us. Now below it, let's also open the file in the browser. Okay, we have this button right here. Go back to the text editor. I'm gonna create a div with an ID of contact modal and the class of modal. Now below, I'm gonna put another div with an ID of modal content, and inside here I'm gonna place another div with an ID of modal header, and inside I'm gonna put a span with a class of close modal for that little X button. I'm gonna use &times. I'm gonna give that X icon, and below this I'm gonna put an H2. I'm gonna say Effective Code Academy. This will be the name of your company. Now outside of the modal header, I'm gonna create a div with a class with an ID of modal body. And inside this modal body, I'm going to put an H3 and say send us a message. And below the H3, I'm going to put my form. I'm going to delete the actions, since we are not going to submit to anything. In the future, I'm also going to do a video on when I will show you how to make a form functional using PHP and MySQL, but that's for another time. And inside this form, I'm going to place a div with a class of form group. And inside, I'm going to put a label for first name, and say first name, and below this an input with a type of text, and for a placeholder I'm gonna say enter your first name. Now I'm gonna copy this, let's first make some space here. I'm gonna copy this form group 3 more times, one for the last name, for the email, and for the message. And below this I'm also gonna put an input with a type of submit, and with the value send message. And this actually let's take them in order. So I'm gonna change this to last name, and enter your last name. This one I'm gonna put email for email, the email label. I'm gonna change the type of the input to email, and the placeholder enter your email. And here label for message, give the label of message, and here I'm gonna delete the input, and I'm gonna put a text area, sorry, and the text area also has a closing tag. There you go. Let's take a look. It looks absolutely horrible. We're gonna need to style that, but let's go below the model body and put in the div with an ID of model footer, and inside I'm gonna put an h3 and say effective code academy, use the copyright symbol &copy 2019. And that's it for the markup. Let's go to the style.css and make it look prettier. First I'm gonna start with the general styling. I'm gonna give some space first. I'm gonna select everything using this asterisk and give it a margin 0, padding 0. I'm also gonna set the box sizing property to border box. For the body, I'm gonna give it a font family of Arial sans serif. And the background, I'm gonna put the image, so URL img and select the image. Give it a height of 100 viewport heights. A background repeat, set it to no repeat. A background size, set it to cover. And background position, set it to center. Alright, let's take a look. Let's make it a little darker by giving it a linear gradient. So, linear gradient, RGBA. I'm gonna give it 0, 0, 0 for black and 0.2 opacity. Since when we click the model, and the same right here, since when we click the model it will become even darker. So that's enough for now. Let's select the button, style the contact button, so model, the one with the ID of model open. Give it a position of absolute. We're gonna center it. Absolute. Top 50%, left 50%. Use the transform property. Translate. Minus 50%, minus 50%. Let's take a look. As you can see, but we need to style it. And also give it a transition for the background. You'll see why. 0.3 seconds. And let's style the button. So modal dash open. And let's see. So let's give it a font size, make it bigger. Give it a font size of 50 pixels. Text transform, make it uppercase. Let's see the color, give it a color of white. Padding of 20 pixels all around. A border, set it to none. A border radius, give it 10 pixels so we can make the corners that are around it. Cursor, change it to pointer. And the background of 458 6 DE. Let's take a look. So is that blue you've seen in the beginning, and that should be it. And now for the hover, so modal dash open, use the hover to make it, give it a little darker background. So let's see, 3E7, 3E7, 8C7, that should be it. Okay, as you can see, it changed to a little darker. That's why I gave it that nice little transition. If we were to remove it, it's too abrupt. I don't like it. I prefer it to have 0.3 seconds, so it's a little smoother. Okay, now we're gonna move to the contact model, which is not gonna be our actual model box, but the whole, it will take up the whole browser windows, and we will make it darker. You'll see what I mean. So select the contact model and give it a display of none, but now I'm gonna uncomment this, since we won't be able to see it if we leave it like this. Give it a position of fixed, top 0, left 0. Give it a width of 100% and a height of 100%, so we'll take up the whole window. And a background, we're gonna give it a black, but we're gonna use RGBA, so we can set an opacity 0, 0, 0, and I'm gonna give it 0.5. As you can see, so when we click this button, it will darken the background a bit. You'll see. Okay, that's it for now. Now we're gonna work on the model content, the actual model box. So model content, give it a background of slightly dark gray, EF, margin 35 pixels on top and bottom, and auto on left or right, a width of 60%. Now a little box shadow of 4 pixels, 5 pixels, RGBA 0, 0, 0 and 0.25. Okay, as you can see, this is our model content. And also now let's style the model header. So model header, let's give it a background of that nice blue. Let's copy it. So there it is. Alright, this is the background. A color of white, color of the text. Padding 25 pixels on top and bottom, 30 pixels left to right. Text align, we're gonna align it to center. Text transform to make it uppercase. And font size, give it 30 pixels. Let's see. Alright, that looks fine. Now we're gonna style this X. We're gonna move it over to the right since I don't want it in the center. So modal header and the class of close dash modal. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna put a font size of 50 pixels and float it to the right. Okay, as you can see, but now I want to darken it when I move my mouse over it. Also change the cursor since I don't like this. We're gonna make it a pointer. So modal header, close modal, column, hover. And now I'm gonna give it a font size of actually, I'm not gonna change the font size. I'm gonna give it a color of 333, and I'm gonna change the cursor to pointer. Let's see. Actually, I put in close modal, not model. Okay, now it should work. As you can see, it's pretty nice. Now all we have to do is the footer. Actually, that's not all. We still have the body and the form, obviously. So let's do the footer first. Modal footer, background of our primary color. Copy it. There you go. Now the color of white. Padding 25 pixels on top and bottom, 30 pixels left to right. Let's see, text align center. Text transform uppercase, and a font size, let's say 18 pixels, and see how that looks. Okay, that's fine. Now for the modal body, first we're gonna select the modal body, so hashtag modal body, and give it a padding of 25 pixels top and bottom, 30 pixels left to right. Now we're gonna style the actual first let's do the h3, so modal body h3, and give it our primary color, so copy this. Now text transform uppercase. Now font size, we're gonna give it 35 pixels. We're gonna align to the center, so text align center, and give it a margin of 30 pixels top and bottom, 0 left or right. Alright, looks good. Now for we're gonna select the form groups, so dot form group, margin 20 pixels top and bottom, 0 left or right, and that's it for now. We're gonna come back to this a little later. Form group, we're gonna select the label, and inside here we're gonna give it a display of block, so it will go, the input will go on the next line. Margin bottom of 10 pixels and a font size of 18 pixels. Okay. Now we're gonna select the input fields and the text area. So form group input. Notice that I put the form group before the input, so that will not select the button, and also the text area. Okay, now I'm gonna give this padding of 10 pixels, 20 pixels, so 10 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right, border none, border radius 10 pixels to make a little nice rounded corners, a font size of 20 pixels, and as you can see, well, I'm also gonna give this a width of 100%, but for some reason it doesn't show. Let's see what is wrong here. Actually, we need to put on the form group, I'm gonna put a width of 75% and a margin left of 12.5%. That will center it, since 100 minus 75 is 25 times 2, it's 12.5. Okay, but now I'm gonna need to see why the input fields, why the width doesn't work here. Oh, because I put an M here, and I'm also gonna put a dash, comma. Okay, as you can see now they work fine, but as you can see the font for this is one thing, and then for the text area it's another, so I'm gonna also need to put a font family again and change it to Arial sans serif, and that should solve it. As you can see now they're the same. Okay, that should do it for the form. Let's take a look again. So I set the width to the form group, I did the labels, excuse me. Now I'm gonna style the button. I hope I didn't miss anything here, it looks fine. Now for the button, so I'm gonna select the input with the type equals submit, and give it a font size of 20 pixels, a margin bottom of 30 pixels, a width of 75%, and the margin left again of 12.5%, so I can center it, and the transition for the background, when you hover it I want to make it darker, 0.3 seconds. And actually I want this to be styled just like our main button, so I'm gonna copy this, I'm gonna go up, and when I style the modal open, I'm also gonna place this, so you can see it will style it. And now on the hover, so input type submit column hover, a background of 3E7 8C7, as you can see, and that should do it for now. And I'm also gonna add a little animation, so I don't want this to just well, first you know what, first let's do the JavaScript, since you don't be able to see it right now. So go to the main.js file, and first we're gonna create some variables to save our elements. So model equals, I'm gonna use document.getElement by ID. I'm gonna select the contact modal. Let's see another one, the open modal equals document.getElement by ID of modal-open, and the X button, so close modal equals document.query selector this time, since it's a class, and put dot close modal. That's our variables. And now I'm gonna put a click event. I'm gonna add an event listener to the open modal. So, okay, dot add event listener, on a click event, I'm gonna call this function. Okay, and on this function I'm just gonna, first we need to give the display property. As I told you, we need to uncomment this, and now if we go to the browser, it's gone. And now we're gonna make it so when we click this button, as we selected the button and added an event listener, when you click on it, I'm gonna select the modal, and I'm gonna give it style.display equals block. Let's see. As you can see, it appears, but now we have to make it disappear since it will stay here unless we refresh. Okay, I'm gonna select the X button, so close modal, add an event listener on a click event, give it a function, call the function and select modal style.display equals none. Let's refresh, and now if we click the X, it will close. But now I also wanted to close if we click outside of this modal window, on this modal box, since if we click right now, it won't do anything. So for this, we need to add an event listener on the window. So window dot add event listener, click, and call this call a function again. I'm gonna pass the e for the event, the e parameter, and we're gonna check if e dot target equals modal. So outside we're gonna set the display property to none. Remember the modal variable, it's the contact modal, and if we go back to the index.html, the contact modal, it's the one that goes all around, so it's not that just this modal box. So we said that if we click outside the modal box, actually it will close, so it will set the display property to none. I really hope that makes sense. So as you can see, if we click outside, it closes, but if we click inside this modal box, it will stay the same. So that's what we want. And that's pretty much it. First, what I want to do is add that little nice slide up animation, since when you click, it's kind of too abruptly for my taste. So for that, we're gonna go to the style.css, and let's see, where should we put this animation. I'm gonna put it on the modal contact right here. So I'm gonna say animation name, and let's say you can give it any name you want, modal slide up, and animation duration, I'm gonna set it to 1 second. You can put it longer or shorter. And now I'm gonna go to the end of the style.css and put add at keyframes. Remember the name, modal slide up, and that 0% of the animation, I'm gonna set a transform property, translate y, so on the y-axis, and I'm gonna set it to 1500 pixels, and at the 100%, so at the end of the animation, I'm gonna set the transform translate y to 0, so it will slide from the bottom. Let's see. So if I click, as you can see, it comes up in a really nice effect, and we can close it obviously if we click on the X or outside of the modal box, or if we send a message, obviously, but this is just a design, it won't submit to anything. I will, however, do in the future probably I'm gonna show you how to make a contact form functional with PHP and MySQL. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, give it a comment, maybe share this if you want. And that is it for today. I will see you in the next video. Take care.